webinar, so we'll send that recording out to you at the end, as well as with the takeaways and some information about our upcoming webinars. My name is Jessica Penman. I'm the Director of Community Relations for the Yountville Chamber of Commerce. We are excited to partner with Bang Napa Valerie and Mallory and with Christopher Pappy to bring you these job seeker skills webinar series. We decided after doing a virtual job fair in July that there's definitely a need for this kind of information with everything that's going on right now. So thank you for joining us. We'll also send out a short survey just so you can let us know how you heard about it and how everything went at the end as well. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mallory if you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Bang, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're really excited to be here and to have you all and help with the job seeking resources. Bang Napa Valley was founded back in 2014, and the idea was to implement a way for those in the by-appointment networking, the by-appointment binary space to get together and network. So we are a very thriving group of about 350 individuals and about 150 different businesses. And pre-COVID, we got together quite a bit for different networking events. And post-COVID, we are still getting together just online and doing some things like this with the Job Fair series. So excited to be with you all this month and hopefully get some people placed in some new career opportunities. So thank you for having me, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mallory. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Christopher Pappy, who will be leading this. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to use the chat function, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end as well. We also might be asking for a guinea pig to show us their LinkedIn profile so we can go through some of the things that we're going to talk about today. So if you're interested in that, just type it into the chat, and then we'll let you know when it's time for that. So Chris, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jessica, and Whitney and the Yountville Chamber of Commerce, and especially Mallory, thank you so much. Bang Napa Valley and the Yountville Chamber have been so proactive in helping really get ahead of this COVID situation. I thought I'd start out with a little perspective. Very briefly, about a 30-year veteran in the wine industry, from sales, marketing, a little bit of hotel work in my early days. But majority of the last 10 years have been spent in the Napa Valley working with wineries, marketing, telesales, and now most importantly, advisory. And what we found is, small to mid-sized wineries have many, many challenges in front of them, from, finance, scale finance, brand DNA, sales, and HR. And one of the things that I really have been passionate about through my career, whether it was in hotels or running large sales teams, was the HR perspective and getting the right people in the right jobs, or right seats on the bus. And one of my mentors is David Newland from Newland Associates, and he has spent a career learning the fine art of performance-based hiring, Drake P3 personality assessment tools, helping really figure out, what is the perfect hire, what's the perfect job, and what's culture fit. And these are all very, when treated, in a very methodical way, and with a very transparent view of what is the real objective of the job and what is the real objective of the candidate, you can find what we call job fit. And that's kind of the elixir that everyone looks for, but not everyone knows what that really means. So I'll just describe it real quickly. It's the intersection of a candidate's profile and trajectory in their career, as well as the hiring manager and or the winery's trajectory for business growth. If those two trajectories are in line, matching each other, and are motivated to work together, that becomes a really great job. So today, in this series of seminars, we're going to talk a lot about how to build yourself as a brand. And so you really understand deeply what connects you to the wine industry, how you want to be in the wine industry, hopefully, if you're not already in the wine industry, and where do you want to go in the wine industry. The first step in that is talking about LinkedIn. And to continue giving you a bit of perspective, pre-COVID, unemployment rate in California was somewhere around 3.1, some places down to 2.7. In Napa, it had actually dipped in 2019 to about 2.4%. And what that meant for recruiters and for hiring managers was that there's a dearth of candidates. And that goes back, that's systemic actually. It's been a problem for many years, whether it's an inequality of housing versus pay, whether it's not enough skilled people, whether we're not doing a good enough job bringing people from outside the industry into our industry. These are all factors that contributed to the situation that we're in prior to pre-COVID, which was very tough to find really good people. And so what we're going to effort to do, and I think why Bang Napa Valley and the Yountville Chambers it's so important, is because what we're really, our mission now is to bring as many people into the industry as possible, give them some good coaching, some career mentorship, and hopefully find a match for the right winery to the right candidate. And the good news is because of the rising prices of Napa Valley wines, the remuneration scale has gone up at wineries, and a manager in a DTC tasting room can make a pretty decent salary, and if they really do it well over a 5-year period, can grow that position into a very strong base and raise a family and actually afford to live here. So I think we're getting somewhere. One last little bit on the context of what we're talking about. When we had the fires in 2017, Morgan Stanley did a seminar to all their businesses, their clients, and I was at the seminar, and they said just to break it down, it was an hour-long seminar, but the bottom line was the only threat they see economically to the wine industry is the labor force. And it's a serious thing when Morgan Stanley is telling you that, and for a variety of different factors. So today we're gonna see if we can't give you the tools to break that curve a little bit and to pivot into the right job. Many people are rethinking their careers, and if you're going to start rethinking because of COVID, then the first thing I want you to do is rethink your brand. And what better way to establish your brand than on LinkedIn? I'm going to ask a quick question here. You can answer in chat, or you can unmute yourself if you want to raise your hand and chime in. Please don't hesitate. If you have an experience that mirrors something that we're talking about, by all means, I'd love to hear it. But I'm assuming you all are on LinkedIn. That's fantastic. I did a seminar 2 years ago in San Francisco at the San Francisco Wine School, and of the whole classroom of people that wanted jobs in the wine industry, 30% of them were on LinkedIn, which they immediately got onto LinkedIn afterwards. So LinkedIn is a great profile, is a great place to promote your brand. One of the reasons LinkedIn is so popular is because it's a business platform. You could say it operates behind the scenes on the same algorithms that social media, Facebook, Instagram, all the other social media. And you could confuse it with social media because it works in the back like social media. In other words, what you feed in your post is going to get projected to people based on how you interact with them. Not everybody in your profile, or not everybody that follows you, is going to get you in the feed if they're not active and you're not actively touching them. So that's the first thing to remember. It is a social platform, but the norms are business. People are really interested in what other people are doing on business. So it's a great source of information. So people are posting a lot of really good stuff. So how do we get noticed if there's so many people on LinkedIn, but I post something and I get 4 likes and that's it. 4, that's not a big number. Well, the first thing we have to do is establish ourselves as a brand, and the most important field within the LinkedIn page is the About field. It's about you, and that notoriously gets, by people that are non-users and that are not really out there searching, is usually a very small, brief description of your job or what you do. Maybe a lot of people put their own current employer in the About section. And that's a mistake. Why? Because LinkedIn is not about promoting your company. Your company will have its own LinkedIn page, and your company will promote themselves on the social media of their choice. This is all about you and you as a brand. I'll slow down for a minute to catch my breath and ask if there's any other questions on where we are and what the industry is looking like right now. And take a drink of water.
You're doing great. All of that makes a lot of sense. I don't have my about section filled out, so step number 1, fill out my about section.
Yeah, and here's another little thing that you need to know about social media. Every post, every digital imprint on social media, on LinkedIn, has a file, has a Boolean integer or a way to query. It's like a database. So when people are looking for stuff, you drive towards keywords. So if a recruiter is looking for a sales manager, wine sales manager, they're going to put wine sales and manager, and then there's a whole list of parameters that they will use. So if they're looking in Chicago, they'll put in Chicago area. If they're looking for people that worked at a past company like Diageo or Treasury, they'll put that in. There's at least 15 different qualifiers. And what that means is that when they go to search and they hit enter, only most of those drivers to that search are going to come from the about field and the current working field. So in your current position, you need to have as much information as possible, and in your about section. Those are the 2 areas. That's what's going to get you noticed from somebody who's looking for you. For somebody who is not looking for you, but that you may not know, that knows people that you know, the way they're going to find you is through what you post. And I'll get to that in a minute, but I want to still stick on the about section, okay? About's really, really important because that's kind of like below your headshot. It's a section where you want to keep it lively, interesting, use positive words. Don't go beyond your standard bio. Maybe shorten your bio to a degree that you pull out the best things of your bio, the drivers, the action words, the driving business technologies, introducing new platforms, creating synergies between sales and marketing. Those types of driver terms are really good. And then one of my friends who I'm going to show you in a minute, she recommended that you share something personal, like I'm an historian or I'm an educator. So I'm going to put up this profile for you to get, hold on, I was looking for Colby. Colby, hi Colby. Jennifer, sorry, vote. Okay, so here's Jennifer. One of the things she says about her highlights is about her pages, get a really nice picture. As anybody who's been on Instagram knows, pictures really drive interest. Pictures are great. I don't know where this is. It looks like some crazy place maybe in Europe, or you know, it's just a very engaging line drawing. It's got her little, you know, emojis, which are very cool. She's got the hipster, you know, various things that you can access, the little emoji buttons that are active. She puts a highlight page. So right here in her about section, this is kind of a really good example of somebody who's really on it. Talks a little bit about how she diverted into her corporate journey, from her corporate journey, but when she had thyroid cancer, you know, a little bit of personal and a lot of business, where she graduated. And again, all of these terms, creativity, technology, digital, marketing, expert, business, leader, brand, storyteller, hugely important, putting on storytelling. These are what people are looking for. And as you can see, she posts a lot. So this is her featured activity. This is her activity. Then of course you have experience. And she's got things to show her experience, what her media group can do. So this is a very, very robust profile. And I'll tell you why it's robust. If you look down here, let's go down a little further. She's got 7,193 followers. That's an enormous number on LinkedIn. So movie stars on Instagram, okay, I get it. They got millions of subscribers. This is not a social platform. This is a business platform. 7,193 people in business are looking at what she says. So she would be considered might be a connector, maybe a maven. Let's say a maven, a trusted resource, somebody you're going to go to. I messaged her this morning because I was telling her about the seminar. She got back with me in like 5 minutes and gave me a couple salient pointers, which was have a really good photo, a professional headshot, show your shoulders, your neck, you know, have a business look, you know, selfies and, you know, fun, cute vineyard scenes might evoke something. But if you're talking about getting hired, you can put, you want a business headshot like mine. If you look on my profile, it's a blue pinstripe shirt and a blue blazer and a winning look. You know, you just put yourself out there. You can have all the vineyards and you want in the back that tells a story. That's great. But on your headshot, you want it to be clean and you want it to be professional. All that stuff makes sense so far? Awesome. All right, there's another little trick on LinkedIn, which is your edit your profile. And it's this part of the journey we're on that I'd like to ask for a volunteer that will be willing to share their profile screen. And what I can do, if you want to update your profile, we can do it right as we speak. And I'll show you how to look at a wizard that will rate your play so that as you know, this is not something to really be a pro at LinkedIn. You're not going to do it overnight. It's not like a sit down one session. It's kind of something that you grow into and you say, oh, maybe I'll put that in. Maybe I'll put this in. But if anybody would like to, pick me, Mallory. Okay. Mallory. Okay. Well, then go ahead and share your profile, Mallory.
Okay. 1 second. Jessica, let me share my screen.
You should be able to now.
We got a lot of people in the chat room.
There we go. All right, Chris. Here's my profile.
Awesome. So click on me.
On me. Wait, where does it say me?
Up on the top on the right-hand side, upper right hand, where your little mini picture says me.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And you might want to maximize your screen. There you go. So this is your settings, privacy, help, language, post activities. We'll go right now just to view profile for the moment.
Okay.
So click on view profile.
Sorry, my internet does not want to apparently go.
Oh, you know what, Mallory, you're already in view profile. Sorry.
Okay, I was like, why isn't it going?
Yeah, click out now. You're in there. Okay.
Okay.
So add profile section. It gives you little cursors. So now you're in the about section. So you can add sections if you don't already have. Like if you notice that Jennifer, she had features. So if you click on features, click on featured. That way you can choose, like for example, I'm doing this seminar today, and when I want to feature something in my post, I'll take what I posted a week ago or something from my online and I'll feature it there. So it's permanently up in my feed so that when people click on me, they can see it. So anything that you feel, maybe you've written an article that you're proud of, maybe you've, maybe you've got a client that you're consulting for and you want to feature them, that's a good place to feature, put your features on.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you've got the skills and endorsements. Do you have the about section done? Okay, what else you got there? Add a link. Silver Trident, there you go. Add, boom. And what that's good. Oh.
Okay, I'll have to get the link itself, but sure. Yes,
Okay.
I started to add to my about section.
Right.
I'll work on
Build
that.
accomplishments additional. So all of these fields are things that you'll want to when I say flesh out. And again, you can do it over time. We're going to talk a little bit later on in the seminar about using a Boolean search. We're going to talk about you know, what's your best describe your value proposition and your elevator pitch. Now, Mallory, could you hit more?
Sure. More.
Okay. Yeah, so you can see there's a toggle on here that you can build a resume from this stuff. So if you're looking to build a resume and you haven't done it with so far, this is a good way to take stuff right off your LinkedIn page. My feeling is that LinkedIn page should be very close to your resume without all the extra bullet points of I drove sales from 30,000 cases to 50,000 cases. That's the stuff you want to put on your resume, and we'll get to that in the second seminar. But you don't want to bog people down too much with stuff. You want the fun stuff, the about section, the pictures, the featured articles, and the postings. You want those to come up first. And you want to do that, you know, pretty regular basis. You know, doesn't have to be every day, but if you could think of it, when I started my business of advisory 4 years ago, I decided not to do a website. I decided to just buff out, and I had a professional help. I had a guy who really knew LinkedIn well, and he was the one who coached me on doing it. There's a spot, Mallory, on here where you can actually, it'll rate your percentage of success as a pro, amateur, you know, what have you. It'll, but I don't see it. I'm going to go to mine real quick. It might be a premium.
I have the paid one, yeah.
It might be on premium. So let me just double check. I'm going to go to mine for real quick. Just bear with me here.
I do want to make one point about how horrible I am, because nowhere on my LinkedIn does it say that I am the founder of Bang Napa Valley, besides what I just changed it to.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
So there you go.
Additional information. So there's all sorts of things, from intro to about to featured to background to work experience, education, licenses and certificates, volunteer experience, skills, accomplishments, and additional information. There's a widget which will rate your play, and I think they may have taken it off. Let me see. I'm just looking. Well, if I find it, I'll post it on the takeaways. LinkedIn is changing their protocols all the time. That apparently they want to keep as much information about you as possible. It seems to be getting harder and harder to use. But back to my business, I decided not to have a website because there's so many professionals that are looking on LinkedIn for stuff, for information regarding their fields. And so when I started and I'm looking for clients, all of a sudden I just started networking with people. And once I started networking, I started having conversations. And once I had started having conversations, business opportunities came. One of the things we're going to talk about next week is about interviewing, putting your resume, and when not to show your resume, and how to get to the place where you want to be. It's having 100 conversations with people that you know, that you love and you trust. And when you talk to them, you don't talk about, I'm looking for a job. You talk to them about, hey, this is what I'm seeing in the business. What are you seeing in the business? This is why I introduced in the seminar today about business context, the context of COVID, the context of unemployment. These are important things because they fashion the way we think about our business. They inform us of how we think about ourselves, and our friends and our relationships are the ones that give us a mirror and give us feedback and give us real-time data about what's going on in the industry and what you might be thinking about. You know, so you start thinking about, what do I want to do? What do I don't want to do? You know, what can I do? What can't I do? And once you start discussing those things and really start to dream a little bit, you start to create this little box for yourself. And then all of a sudden these things are all what's meaningful to you. And the next thing you know, when that opportunity is, David Newland likes to say, when the universe pushes an opportunity in front of you, you'll recognize it immediately because you've done the homework. You know, you've crafted your value proposition. You've crafted what it is you like and what you want to do. The reason I'm so up on this and why it may be a little alien to a younger career professional is because, let's be honest, when we're starting out in this business, we don't know what the career path might be. We don't know where the hidden vaults are, mistakes are. We haven't banged into a lot of walls. I've got a lot of gray hair from banging into a few walls. And what my generation tends to do, if you want to stay fresh and stay relevant in this business, you have to kind of reinvent a little way, and you get to a point where, you know, I really know who I like, who I don't like, what I like to do, what I can't do. And you start analyzing that stuff and you realize you don't have time for all the noise. So this LinkedIn is a great exercise, a fantastic exercise to kind of, you know, put out what you know, put out your MBA status. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't put your MBA. It's like you're bragging. No. This is time to, this is your brand, and you want to show it. So does that all make sense? Does that kind of encompass the about me section and why we do this? Anybody have any questions as to why we do this or why we don't do this?
Can you talk just for a second about the advantages of a paid LinkedIn account versus the free LinkedIn account?
Surely. So it's kind of like advanced, it's a advanced tool. So if you're just getting started in wine, you won't want to take the master sommelier exam. You might not want to sit with a bunch of MSs and do blind tastings. So there's a lot of stuff you may or may not need. If you're wanting to learn how to get into LinkedIn and use it to your full extent, then do the things that I've been telling you to do, and we'll do some more stuff. Once you've gotten to the point where your profile is really super, and now you're in the job space of looking for people, hunting down new clients. Let's say we all know that in a DTC environment for our mailing list, a really qualified buyer, if you have his profile on LinkedIn and you're linked up with that person, you might want to know some people that he or she likes and knows. So you start doing searches, you start making connections. That's when you might want to do the $50 premium. There's a thing called Recruiter Lite, which is a lot of recruiters like this because this is where you find out where people are. Anybody who's really serious about finding a job has got their profile on LinkedIn and when they stopped working. So if you're looking for people, let's say if you're HR, let's say you're a tasting room manager, that's not going to pay a guy like me to find you somebody. You're going to do it yourself, which I highly recommend. Having a premium would be a really good tool. So if you're hiring, if you're looking for new client acquisition, or if you've got money to burn and want to spend $50 a month on having a tricked out LinkedIn profile, go for it. If you're a writer, a blogger, you might consider doing that because you want your post to go out to as many people as possible. That all makes sense? So
yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. So here's a $1,200 bit of information that you don't have to pay LinkedIn $50 a month to know. It's called a Boolean Search. Boolean logic is a type of computer algorithm system which allows you to search for things using keywords. And there's a system of quotation marks, ands, ampersands, and hyphens that will mean different things for when you're searching for somebody. And it's usually designed for people that are recruiting for hiring. So, and I'm not going to get into Boolean because it's a little complicated, but all you have to do is go into your LinkedIn page and then hit the search button and type in Boolean Search, B-O-O-L-E-A-N, Boolean Search. The reason I bring it up is because let's say you've got 120 people in your database. That's not nearly enough. You really want to flesh out. If you're building your brand, you need to have contacts. You want contacts and you want followers. the way you get contacts is to go to all the people that you know on and really admire on LinkedIn, and then you hit their, you make sure that you're linked with them. Number one, you can go through your contact file. You can actually upload your contact file into LinkedIn and send out invites to people that you know. I don't recommend that because it's too invasive. You don't want LinkedIn necessarily looking at your contacts. What you want to do is reach out independently, individually. And I'm usually bringing in 3 or 4 client contacts a day that I want to have connected to. So a Boolean search, if let's say that you're looking for a job as a tasting room manager, you can do tasting room, in quotation marks, tasting room manager, and then what you'll get is only people that have tasting room manager. Or you could do wine hyphen room, a tasting hyphen manager, or any iteration above, and it'll combine people with one piece of that in a title. So then your search will go out to 5,000 people. Mallory, are you still, you're not sharing anymore, right? Actually, you know what? I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you a little trick here. Okay, I'll get it out of home.
I'll take all the free advice you give me, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. What was I saying? I got to get, I want to do some searches. Okay. So here I'm going to start a search. I'm going to do a Boolean search on tasting room manager. And I'm going to hit enter. I got 4,613 results. I'm going to go back into the field and I'm going to click it one more time. And what will come down is, you see this row at the top? Those are your filters. So first thing you want to do is connections of 1 and 2, my first and second. I don't really want my third because those are people that might be friends of friends of friends that are out in, you know, other types of businesses. And I want San Francisco only, San Francisco, or we can even do Napa, California, apply. And now I can go, if I'm, let's say I want to poach somebody, I want to see people at Trinchero. That's a really great company, right? I'm not going to poach from Trinchero because they're a really great company. I'm going to just see who's working at Trinchero. I'm going to apply. Now you notice how we come down to 3 results. So Amber, Angie, and Ryan, those are the only people that have tasting room manager in their titles and are working for Trinchero. So you see how that works? Pretty cool. And the reason, and you're not a recruiter, you're out looking for a job, but here's the thing. You know, Ryan Silva, I think I know him. Yeah, he's on my, so he's already in my database. But if he wasn't, you know, the one thing I might want to do is I might want to look at his connections, right? And then I might want to see a bunch of people that are like him, that he likes. And that way you don't have to necessarily search for people. You're like, oh, okay, I know that person. And then you're going back. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. You can get out of that search. You go back, continue search in Recruiter. No. Go back. So one thing I would always do, when you happen to hit on somebody, just go, well, let me go to somebody I don't know. All right, so if it says connect there, that means they're not in your database. It's very helpful for me because I have 3,400 people in my database. So I don't know Amber, but I want to know Amber. So I'm going to go connect, and then always, otherwise she'll think I'm stalking her, and we don't want that. I'll add a note. I'll say, hey, my name's Christopher Pappy. I'm a recruiter. I saw your LinkedIn profile. You know a friend of mine, Ryan Silva. You work for Trinchero. I'd like to connect. That's it. And you do 3 of those a day or 3 of those a week, and pretty soon you're going to be in business. All that makes sense? Am I telling stuff everybody knows?
No, that's great. I had no idea you could do that.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I'm going to go back to home. See, that's my post today for this event. Got it out there. Didn't get too many likes. I think it was too late. but we got some big likes. Well, I'm not going to bother you with that. All right, so I'm going to even stop share for the moment. All right, so now let's talk more about theory. So now you know how to search for people. Now you know how to connect to people. Every connection you make, it's going to reward you because now you're going to be in their feed. They're going to post something. You know, there's a lot of information. So this seminar is about you know, building your brand so that you can get a job, or building your brand so people notice you. Let's talk about the philosophy and or the drivers of that brand, which are more. This is stuff you can use in branding your product, branding yourself. These are all common themes. You know, you want to think like a recruiter or think like a consumer. What does the consumer like about your product? What does the consumer like about you? What do you like about you, and what does the recruiter like about you? These are the things that you want to drive. It goes back to the about section. These are the things about you that are important. Did somebody have a question? Oh, somebody's baby.
There are a couple of questions in the chat, but we can do those a little bit later.
Okay, fine. So, you know, all right, so we talk about you as a brand. Who is you as a brand? Here's a real easy exercise. And ever since I learned this about 10 years ago from a very savvy marketer, I just thought it was so brilliant. Whether you're, you know, coming up with a brand proposition on a product you're releasing to the market, or you're talking about yourself, there's 3 simple questions that you need to answer. One is, why do I exist? Answer to that is part of your brand proposition. Why should my customers care? Answer to that, part of your brand proposition. How do I measure success? Part of your brand proposition. And the reason I bring it down to these 3 short answers is because that's the brand proposition needs to be then formed into what we call an elevator pitch. If you don't have an elevator pitch for whatever you're selling, you'll never really succeed in the sales arena, whether it's in a tasting room, it's in the 3-tier, whether it's selling a brand to perhaps an investment group, a banker. You need to take your long brand story and you need to convert it into an elevator pitch. For those of you who don't know what an elevator pitch is, it comes from an old Madison Avenue term of, if you can't give your value proposition and your pitch in 30 floors on an elevator, you're going to confuse and distract your client. So those 3 answers are the basis of your elevator pitch. So obviously we have brand stories. Silver Trident Winery has a wonderful owners. They own yachts. They live in Florida. They are friends with Ralph Lauren. They have a beautiful tasting room. They started their business XYZ. There's a big, long story. And as Mark Twain once said, I wrote you a long letter because I didn't have time to write you a short letter. I wrote you a long letter because I didn't have time to write you a short letter. Why is that so relevant? Because it's hard to take all that stuff and put it into a very cogent, meaningful message. So why do I exist? Why should my customers care? And how do I measure success? Madrigal Family Winery, when I did this project for them, I was consulting for them, they had no real brand message. The guys that owned them were partners with them in New York said, we've been farming in the Napa Valley. No, we've been making world-class wine since 1936. I'm like, no, you didn't. You were itinerant farmers from Mexico in 1936. Okay. So Willie Shearer, saw him at Redwood, was tasting the Petit Syrah, and he says, man, Chris, this is probably one of the best Petit Syrahs or best red wines I've ever tasted in the Napa Valley. I said, why is that? And he said, you know, the Madrigals know where the bones are buried. I'm like, the bones are buried. I went back to Madrigal and I said, why do you like Petit Syrah so much? He says, well, you know, it's because of, well, when we got here in 36, we were the only brown-skinned Catholics, and the other brown-skinned Catholics were Italians, Southern Italians. And he said, they taught us how to farm. So we went to all around itinerant from, you know, harvesting apples to going down to the Central Valley and back up. So what he found was that the Italians love patisserie. Patisserie. Well, patisserie is the Italian term for patisserie. So when Chris Madrigal really got into his dad, he says, you know, I really want to make a fantastic patisserie and save those old vines that those Italians taught us everything. I want to, in respect for the Italians, I want to make this great patisserie. So then, you know, I asked his old man, you know, what was life like back then? He said, you know, with a pair of pruning shears and a pickup truck, we started a farming company that planted every grape that Duckhorn ever owned. So here's the elevator pitch. Hi, I'm Chris Madrigal. I've been farming in the Napa Valley since 1936. Me and my dad started a farming company, a grower company, with a pair of pruning shears and a pickup truck. And we planted every Duckhorn vineyard in the Napa Valley. And our patisseries are in respect of our generations of Italians. And by the way, Willie Scherer, Master Sommelier Red, says it's the best, one of the best red wines in the Napa Valley. That's a very simple elevator that you can tell in 30 stories. It tells the whole brand story in a very short, concise manner, and it can be expanded. So, well, what about 1936? And that's when you get into the whole itinerant farmer thing. Well, what about Duckhorns? And that's when you can start talking about Calistoga versus Spring Mountain. Spring Mountain washes down into the Calistoga AVA, and they kind of join there. You can talk about terroirs. You can talk about restaurants. You can talk about patisserie versus Cabernet, all that kind of stuff. How Mondavi did what he did and got everybody to rip out their Brignolino and Charbonneau and patisserie and put in Cap. So that's the long story, which everybody knows. The short story is much more difficult to tell. I don't mean to go on and on about it, but I'm passionate about it. It's a tried and true method. It really works. People get very interested when you bring relevant, authentic terms very quickly that can be expanded and can be pulled apart. You might have somebody that has no interest in patisserie, and you don't even have to mention the patisserie part of it. You can switch over to Sauvignon Blanc. So these are tools that help you sell in the tasting room with authenticity, not talking about malolactic fermentation, but we're talking about a story, right? We all know that stories sell wine. If that's the case, then let's tell your story. Why do I exist? Why should my customers care? I started a business 4 years ago because I realized that economies of scale were preventing people to hire guys. I got to the point where I was almost priced out of the market, and wineries couldn't afford to pay certain salaries because the costs have increased so much. I bring a group of services that will help you better run your business with me consulting as opposed to hiring me full time. So that's your value proposition. And, you know, I'm successful. Well, I measure success by the fact that I want to work for you for 6 months, and I want to give you all the tools that you need to go on your way, and you won't even have to hire somebody, or maybe you're so successful you build your case volume up that you become successful. So that's kind of like my elevator pitch. So whatever it is that you feel that you can do, just put that in your about section, think about it, and trust me on this one, it's a long process. It took me 6 months to come up with the Madrigal elevator. Not an easy task, because why? Because I didn't have time to write you a short letter. Because whatever the elevator is, it's going to be authentic. And as we all know, the next generation of consumers, the next generation of workers that you're going to be hiring, you, the next generation, want authenticity. We know this from studies, marketing. You can talk to people all day long. The next generation, they want authenticity. They don't want to believe in fluff and, you know, newspaper articles and Parker. You know, they're not reading Parker. To the digital generation, what's on LinkedIn and what's on Instagram is authentic because it's a beautiful picture. It's real. You can verify it. Does that all make sense? How are we doing on time, Jessica?
We've got about another 10 minutes. So I don't know if you want to do a little bit more and then do some Q&A.
No, I'm getting tired.
Okay.
I want questions. Ben Franco, PA.
Let's see, we had, do you recommend the job search part of LinkedIn? Where you,
That's a great question. Absolutely. Not because I know about it, because I don't use it myself personally, because I'm not looking for a job. But any option that you have on LinkedIn, again, don't pay the money right up front. Become a pro on LinkedIn, get your profile up to a certain level. And since I couldn't find the widget on it, you can always call me or email me and say, hey, would you look at my profile? I'll take a look at it and we'll give you some pointers. But yeah, try anything and see. And you'll know right away whether you like it or not. Some things are clunky and not useful. But the other cool thing about LinkedIn is there's not many people spamming. Nobody's really going to be pimping, for your business, unless they're smart and they do it in the proper way, which is introduction, have something in common, be relevant. When we talked on the phones at Chatterbox, we had to call people, have the relevant requests to have conversation, permission, relevancy, authenticity. That's what gets you heard on LinkedIn and by recruiters and by hiring managers.
awesome. Does anyone else have any questions? That was the only one that was in the chat, but feel free to just unmute yourself or raise your hand. Ben, I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, the question would be, is like, I have a lot of years of experience before I started my wine career in engineering and whatnot, and a lot of the LinkedIn connections and job recommendations I get are towards that part of my career. And now I've been the last 12 years I've been in the wine business, and I really want to focus on the wine side. Should I take away some of my beginning part of my career, or is there a way to better set it up? I'm not sure if I'm making my point correctly, but
yeah, if that part of your career is gone and you're really not interested in, once you get out of something, you'd be surprised at how many people really keep in touch with you personally. Business is business. People like you for the business. So I would say drop your past professional life, because it's not a resume. It's a way to connect with people currently today, and it's one thing. The power of LinkedIn is it's up to the moment. So yeah, because that'll distract from the search words that when people look at you, and then that Boolean search, you start looking for people in the wine industry that you're connected to and that you might like to know something from.
I have a question about the technical side of it. With Canvas, I have obviously Canvas as a main company, and then I have other sub things that I do, like the Canvas magazine and some other things. And when I added a couple of other things, they went to the top of my job list. Is there a way to keep Canvas, since it's still a current date, above those sub jobs?
Yeah, that's a great. One of the things I would do is you might do in the featured section, you might want to put like a picture or a logo with a brief description. Because the LinkedIn, like I say, it's either a company page or it's a personal page. If it's a company page, you want to pull it. You might want to consider just having two pages, a company page and a personal page.
Yeah, I don't think I have a company page. I should probably do something about that.
Yeah, that might be helpful. That way you can post some of your all your marketing materials you can post there. And then, because Colby, you're so well connected in the Valley, you can use your personal page to just keep in touch with people, and then you'll drive them. If on your personal page you put your Canvas stuff on the featured, they're going to see it right up front, but they're not going to look at it as like your last job. There's these annoying things that come up. Well, Colby Smith has just celebrated her 10-year anniversary at a company that you don't even work for.
Yeah.
Right? It's very annoying. So it doesn't always read them correctly.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
a really interesting point, Colby, too, because with the new gig economy, a lot of people have multiple jobs, but they would still want their main job. Like, for example, I work here, but I also work at the college. I'd rather this be top of mind, even if the college came later, right?
Yeah.
So making a way to make sure you're highlighting what you want to highlight.
Yeah, perfect. Good example.
We have another question in the chat. So how does LinkedIn work for older job searchers? I'm repeatedly advised to post only last 10 to 15 years experience on LinkedIn in my resume. And I would actually like to be authentic and share the valuable skills I have.
Yeah, great question. And I'm a believer, ardent believer in putting everything on. If people, that's relevant. I mean, if you're not interested, like I have some hotel experience, which is absolutely not relevant to what I do today. The only reason I keep it on there is because I'm proud of it. I worked for Four Seasons hotels for 4.5 years. So I keep that there. But otherwise, you want to put as much detail as you can. But remember, the LinkedIn profile is not your resume. The resume, when we'll get into resume building, there's a whole litany of things you have to do in a resume. And this idea that 1 page or 2 page, people don't have time to look at a 3-page resume. Well, here's my theory on that. If you're a hiring manager and you don't have time to look at 3 pages of somebody's awesome credentials, then you're not doing your homework. You're not giving people a chance. You know, people need to show what are the drivers of their profile. What have they done? And this is your one chance to brag. You get on the job and you're not sitting there talking about yourself, right? You're worrying about your business. But on LinkedIn and on your resume, this is the chance to put bullet points that expand into really great accomplishment stories. So I think more is better. I know when I recruit, I have put out an 8-page profile on the job. We put on the history of the job. We put on the careers. We put on the value proposition of why a person like you might want to come work for a person like Morley family, for example. We put their whole history, who works for them. Then we put on their 12-month core objectives. And then we put on your must-haves. At the end, it's like the must-have. Because what did I say at the beginning? The beginning is a great job is not about it's 40% what you've done in the past, but much more important is how you're growing as a career professional and does it match the growth of the winery. So when we put a 7-pager out there and somebody sends me a resume with 1 page, I'm like what am I going to do with that? I want to dive into what you do, and I want to know where you're going, and I want to know who you are. That way I can find the right fit for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. That's great. Really good points.
Cool.
Any other questions before we wrap up for today?
I put my email out on the in the chat field, so you know, anybody want to reach out and just talk about the business or where you're going. We're going to have 2 more seminars that are going to be like this, hopefully relevant. If you have any comments or feedback, please email me. And if there's something you want to talk about resumes that you want me to be prepared for next week, we can talk about that. And then we got the job fair. Mallory, you want to talk a little bit about the job fair? Oh, she left? Oh, no, there she is.
Yeah, the job fair is going to be fabulous. I'm going to be sending out an email at least to our members and all of our people on our mailing list for Bang. You know, we are looking for people who would like to sign up as not only applicants, but as well to present jobs. You know, we know that obviously things are constantly changing and, you know, there's probably still some positions that need to be filled post COVID and probably new positions that are being created. So definitely if anyone's on here and isn't has anyone that isn't necessarily a Bang or chamber member that wants to participate as an applicant, please let them know that anyone is able to participate. We would love anyone and all people who are qualified applicants that would be interested. And as far as presenting a job, you